developer of affordable housing for people with disabilities in the state, maybe in the country. So again, it's hard to compete in our town if you're not selling something that's sexy. That's my opinion. If you don't have a lot of celebrity power. I remember standing up and presenting. I was going to present at what used to be the permanent charities, which was the entertainment industry charity. I think they changed their name. Yes. And I'm following Make-A-Wish. And the Make-A-Wish lady's talking about the little kid on the airplane, and I'm sitting there crying. And now I'm going to follow her and talk about, serving mentally retarded people on a campus at Chatsworth. It just didn't have the same zing. It was relevant. It had a bigger bang for the buck, maybe, but it didn't have the same zing. So again, what we've tried to do in a business sense is try to go fishing at the fishing hole where there's less fishermen. Or in this case, seeing all the women, fisher people. So that's what we've looked at. Where are the lots of money and how does it help us build our business and build our brand?
Judy, do you have any sort of supplemental comments to that?
About helping, it's interesting. As Kent said, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. This is our 30th year, and for 12 years before that, I was in politics. So I've done fundraising for 42 years, and this has been the most challenging year I have ever been involved with. And I've done a lot more than I specialize in special events for nonprofits, but I spend almost the same amount of time helping my nonprofits do fundraising and fundraising strategies. And sometimes it's just sitting back and having somebody else listen. And everyone, I get this thing all the time, could you take us to the next level? So I don't know what that next level is, but I keep on looking for it. Or they'll come in and they'll say, I only want to raise $1 million, can you help us do that? And I said, well, see, I want to be a size 2, so neither one of us are going to help. So it's sitting back and using, it's really interesting, if I can, I'll use an example. When we first started, my sister is my partner. We're sisters, partners, and best friends. And we had this little group, the Down Syndrome Parents Group, and they were headquartered in the Valley. And they maybe raised, I don't know, $2,500, $3,000, whatever it was. And they wanted to do a fundraiser. So we went out to the Valley and we sat around the room. And I said, so why don't you all tell us about yourselves? And we went around the room, and one of the last people to talk was Michael Landon's location manager and one of Michael's best friends. And I said, so have you ever thought about asking Michael to help? And he said, oh no, I could never do that. And I said, well, I can't, so let's go see him. And we created the Michael Landon Celebrity Gala. And that first year they netted $127,000. But it wasn't because I brought in my stuff from the entertainment industry. It was helping the people in that room. I empowered them to go out and raise money. And they also had an event now that they really felt comfortable about going to their vendors and their family and their associates and whoever it is that they dealt with. And they were so proud of it, and we did it for 5 years until unfortunately Michael got sick. So we spent a lot of time trying to do something different. I mean, dinners work, otherwise we wouldn't keep on doing them. But I spent a lot of time trying to develop something else, and I always bring it back to the nonprofit. Whatever I'm raising money for a special event, I want it to be something that has legs. And I want people to understand what it is they're giving money for. So we spend a lot of time creating our fundraising packages. And as easy as it sounds, it isn't that easy. You have to know your audience. So we do about 85% of whatever the entertainment industry is involved with when it comes to fundraising, nonprofit stuff. And do the lion's share of benefit premieres. A gazillion years ago, for the Motion Picture and Television Fund, we did the premiere of Sleepless in Seattle, and it honored E.B. Wasserman. So I knew that I had Jeffrey Katzenberg as my chair. So nobody had ever charged $100,000 starting point for packages, and I decided that I wanted to do that. And Jeffrey asked me why, and I said because I know that Lou Wasserman, Sid Sheinberg, and Universal will buy one, and I think we should start there. And we ended up selling 15 packages at $100,000 and raised $2.5 million. So you need to know your audience and what it is, and then what we did is those packages not only included the premiere and the party and all that stuff, but it was something specific to the residents at the establishment. We did it for Dustin Hoffman for a premiere, because most people didn't know that he gave $1 million to start Camp Ronald McDonald for Good Times. So again, I started my packages at $100,000, and $75,000, $50,000, and so on. And each of those packages correlated to the number of kids that you would sponsor for a week in your name. At the end of it, we had the kids write a thank you letter to the sponsors, and to this day, they still have some of those sponsors, because it gave it a face. So we spent a lot of time trying to understand. The people are very much more in line with what they're giving money for now. They don't want it to be just for a party. So they need to understand what it is they're giving money for. So we spent a lot of time doing that.
You guys want to?
Yeah, I would just chime in. I think that we are in kind of an unprecedented time, and not to keep revealing warts of the Red Cross, but when I joined the board, most of our processes and activities were still done paper-based. That's just how things were done. There were certain forms that were filled out to complete other forms to track important things like our clients and our follow-up visit with victims of disasters, and that paper trail was required mostly for legal liability, but also for our own ability to keep track of some of these things. Well, guess what? With technology now, instead of filling out several pieces of paper and filing them in boxes and not being able to tell the difference between a victim and a donor who's given a lot versus a donor who's given a little, and our jumbled up databases of all of that, we've now streamlined all of those things. We've done cloud computing in a lot of our areas, and it's significantly streamlined our cost. So our ability to deliver those services, again, driven off a lot of business experience and a lot of emerging technologies, has enabled us to do so much more with fewer on-site staff and just a lot less of the administrative kinds of things that we used to do, so we can focus a lot more on fundraising and delivering services and developing our strategies. I know several people here in the room are involved in some form of services outsourcing. As a senior partner at Accenture, that's a lot of what we did, and I think we now see that being mirrored in our own organization at the Red Cross, where we're trying to consolidate and combine services. The Red Cross, at one point, used to be over 3,000 individual chapters. We kind of whittled it down to about 700, but most of those chapters still view themselves as their own individual 501c3s. Well, we're not. We're one national 501c3, and our current national chairman is the first national president is the one who's helping us understand that, and I think it's absolutely the right business decision. It helps us eliminate a lot of waste and redundancy, and I think that's been a significant step of progress for us as well. And I really like what Judy says. I mean, you have to ask. We never asked before. Our fundraising muscle had completely atrophied, and now, I mean, we're challenging ourselves to, why are we asking people for $25 or $100 donations? We should be asking for $10,000 and $25,000 and $100,000 donations. We're big enough. We're visible enough. We have the most trusted brand, and I think it's the latest brand research. We're the most trusted brand in the world right now. And we have to be careful about what we do to that brand, but we can certainly leverage it more for our services than we currently do. So, again, all those things combined, I think, are helping us be a lot more bold about how we go raise money.
Yes, I'd like to add the other thing. Everything is, when you have fundraising, especially nonprofits, obviously budget is a concern. There are so many ways that you can hopefully bring in additional monies and raise your awareness. I will tell you right now that I don't think anyone should do a special event unless it's 50% awareness. If you're just going to do a special event just to raise money, then you might as well just raise money and not spend all the money doing a special event. So, I love bartering. Go to your local newspapers, go to your neighbors, whatever it is. See if they'll give you in-kind services for exposure. I do a lot of bartering of ads. If you have an honoree, go to your local newspapers and see if they'll pick it up. With social media, I don't tweet, whatever it's called, and I don't text, but I use a lot of texting for my clients. I love text to give and text to donate. We just had a fundraiser for about 250 people, and we did text to donate, and the 250 people in the room, we raised $28,000 that evening. So you have to use social media, you have to use